On your way, no one know. On your way, no one know. No one know, no way. No one know, no way. On your way, no one know. On your way, no one know. No one know, no way. No one know, no way.
This is one of those people I'm going to introduce that, thinks somehow law and art, can be fun and change culture and they're connected somehow. I'm really pleased to present Megan Reich to you. Megan is the Kohl Executive Director of the Museum of Contemporary Art Cleveland, better known as moCa. She has served in this position for 19 years. Prior to assuming this role at moCa, she worked in a curatorial education, engagement, and with strategic initiatives. She strives in her work to use empathy, creativity, humility, and humor to help improve our society through art, ideas, and action. Thanks, Megan. Here's your clicker.
All right, so I just advance like
Yeah,
this.
you click the left one.
The left one will make it go forward. All right, that's good. I'm a lefty. Good afternoon. Hello. I want to start with gratitude, first to Tish for helping get us all together in this room and for ongoing programming. I've been so inspired in my learning and work with Tish and everyone affiliated with CELDF. And to be in this room and be, as Sister Carol D'Angelo mentioned, I feel like I'm an adolescent in this topic. But I am deeply grateful for the learning and the sharing that you are all doing here. And hopefully my presentation will connect you to artists and art projects that might deepen your excitement, enthusiasm, and passion around these and other topics. So I also want to note this title was really ambitious. I don't know why I came up with it. I won't be talking about pop culture as if I know that much. You're in the Rock Hall, and I'm sure there's something. I will, however, be talking about art and artists. And with Andrea Bauer's project, which was discussed a little bit at the beginning of the day as a backdrop, I'm going to focus on other contemporary artists who have deepened my understanding of Lake Erie and the Great Lakes through their work. Many artists engage in this topic using their creativity and ingenuity to inform, inspire, and engage us in conversations about the ecological, social, and economic importance of the Great Lakes, as well as the urgent need for their protection and preservation. Nature and water in particular has long been a source of inspiration for artists for centuries. The Great Lakes support a rich and diverse natural environment, offering a wealth of subject matter for creative expression. The lake's stunning natural beauty serves as a powerful muse for artists who seek to capture and celebrate the sublimity of these waters. We respond warmly to these familiar, expressive images of the lakes, and many contemporary artists use their practice to ignite the beauty that we know exists or that we may forget exists within the Great Lakes. Here you are seeing watercolors by an artist I'll talk a little bit later about, Alexis Rockman, that moCa Cleveland presented a few years ago, all referencing points along the Great Lakes. Ran Ortner's massive 2009 painting of rolling lake waves titled Open Water Number 24, as well as Anne Lovelace's colorful quilt portrait. This is a quilt of Sleeping Bear Dune in 2013. Both received the People's Grand Prize at Art Prize in Grand Rapids, Michigan, each earning $100,000 for their lake-inspired works. My first direct experience with an artwork about Lake Erie was actually in 2003 in a show called Wish You Were Here at the Cleveland Institute of Art. Curators Kathleen Chaffee and Dr. David Carrier commissioned British artist Alex Baker to create a video installation called Lake Erie Recreation, which consisted of a live-streamed, soundless, remote shoreline view of Lake Erie. Throughout the show, visitors witnessed waves lapping onto the sand and an occasional seagull flying by in a quiet, meditative view that created an overarching sense of peace, but also melancholy. The subtext of the work was something about the distance of Lake Erie to the visitors in the gallery, something so proximal and yet, frankly, always so disconnected from so many of us. Ohio-born Maya Lin, a name that many people recognize for her work on the Vietnam War Memorial, has often examined the topography and physical attributes of the Great Lakes, creating complex studies of their dynamic form and existence. In Silver Erie, shown here, Lin mapped the shape and surface of Lake Erie and the Maumee River, casting the result in reclaimed silver to capture their ethereal beauty. In an exhibition called Flow at Grand Rapids Art Museum, Lin presented 7 large-scale sculptural works, including The Traces Left Behind, a 15-foot-long silvered relief portraying all of the lakes, from the Great Bear Lake near the Arctic Circle down to the Great Lakes, all of which were created by melting and these lakes were created by the melting and movement of glaciers. The Great Lakes region is a microcosm of global conflict around resources, power, and the ramifications of cultural, corporate, and political misconduct and greed. Many artists take up these topics, some focusing on the cultural heritage, traditions, and stories of those who have been displaced, such as indigenous people who have called the Great Lakes home for centuries. A recent exhibition at the University of Michigan's Museum of Art called Watershed included several Anishinaabe and Ojibwe artists, such as Bonnie Devine, showed here, whose mural The Gift examined Native accounts of colonial expansion and white supremacy across the Great Lakes watershed over time. Giving voice to the experience of Native Great Lakes people, these artists make personal and visceral the social, economic, and political actions that deny people just and fair access to healthy land and water. Exploring Lake Erie's role as a path to freedom for slaves in America, Johnny Coleman, a Oberlin-based artist, created an immersive exhibition at Spaces Gallery called Crossing the Water, Requiem for Lee Howard Dobbins, in which he imagines the passing of the spirit of Dobbins, a 4-year-old boy who escaped from Kentucky with his family on the Underground Railroad in 1853. Falling ill when he reached Oberlin, Dobbins passed before he could cross Lake Erie with his family to find freedom in Canada. Neighbors raised funds at the time to bury the child and mark his grave with a granite headstone in an Oberlin cemetery. Coleman's project meditated on water, Lake Erie in particular, as a cleansing force amid the atrocities of American slavery. Many artists examine the impact of human activity on the health of the Great Lakes complex ecosystem, using their voices and practices to raise awareness about pollution, habitat destruction, and climate change, and advocating for policies and actions that promote sustainable change and solutions. In 2018, moCa presented the exhibition Alexis Rockman, The Great Lakes Cycle, a large-scale painting show that explored the past, present, and potential future of the Great Lakes. Rockman is an acclaimed painter and environmental activist who creates ecologically focused works that seduce and provoke with equal verve. Blending extensive research, diverse techniques, and site-specific materials like sand or soil, Rockman's paintings document history while also imagining future environments. This multifaceted project was initiated in 2013 with the Grand Rapids Art Museum. And I should say something about Graham if you haven't had the opportunity to visit. Graham is a wonderful art museum in Grand Rapids, and one of their values is sustainability and environmental justice. And so a lot of excellent projects have emerged from that museum around these topics. Through extended study, Rockman created 5 mural-sized paintings and several large-scale watercolors and field drawings, which were monochromatic animal and plant studies made from site-sourced organic materials such as mud, sand, coal, and leaves. Many paintings portrayed the consequences of destructive agricultural practices and the effects of opening the lakes to foreign waters in vivid detail, portraying everything from predatory fish like alewife and sea lamprey to freight or ballast drainage filled with the larvae of devastating invasive species like zebra mussels. And you see that, oh, I think this was the previous one. You see that in this work, Pioneers. As a freighter is moving in the upper right register, you can see the ballast water dumping a variety of invasive species into the waters. Turning to our Great Lake, Lake Erie, Rockman included several studies of the toxic algae blooms that regularly blanket Lake Erie in the painting watershed. Rendered as swirling lime green colonies and branches in this work, as well as spheres of influence, Rockman portrays algae blooms like a spreading acidic wildfire, strangling other species by removing all available oxygen while being constantly fed by the phosphorus fertilizer runoff from nearby farms. Watershed's dual composition, idyllic river scene at left and science wasteland at right, points to the other agricultural health issues like Salmonella choleraceus, the poisonous salmonella bacteria that is spread through swine waste runoff. Rockman's painting created direct, familiar, yet surreal expressions of the past, present, and future of the Great Lakes, inviting audiences to consider their culpability in the problems and their opportunity to affect change. These paintings were not this big, but they were very big. They were about 12 feet wide and about 6 feet tall, with exacting detail and a really seductive, almost glossy surface that demanded study by our visitors. And there was a lot of people who stayed for an extended period of time looking and asking questions. And then many of the works also had maps that gave information about every species that was portrayed, so that in one work, it chronicled the history of certain animal species across time. People could actually use the paintings as learning opportunities. There also was an online learning module created by Northern Michigan University for this exhibition. Some artists create performative works that engage the lake's metaphoric potential. For the Front International Triennial in 2022, artist Asad Raza, now the artistic director for Front 2025, created a work called Delegation, a participatory performative artwork that included a sailing journey and a song. Embarking on a community-building trip from his hometown of Buffalo, Raza sailed to Cleveland over Lake Erie with a small group of local musicians, including R.A. Washington, LaToya Kent, Rafay Rashid, Andrea Mancuso, Olivier Delroux Schultz, and Shasti O'Leary Soudant. The composition was provoked by the group's rhythmic journey over the waves and inspired by the long-term custodians of this land and waterscape, the Seneca people, the westernmost tribe of the Iroquois. The Seneca's territory spans the area between Buffalo and Cleveland. Upon landing in Cleveland for the opening of Front, they created a dense, spatialized music experience at Old Stone Church near Public Square. Subsequently, the core Seneca song was taught through word of mouth during the Front exhibition, and the work then used using Lake Erie as a platform for connecting old and new and supporting the foundation for new expression. I apologize, I don't have any images of that work. As you heard, right now, moCa is working with Andrea Bowers and CELDF on a project intended to bring awareness and action to the challenges facing Lake Erie. This is an earlier work by Andrea focused on the rights of nature and gives a sense of Andrea's neon artwork. Our new multi-part project entitled Exist, Flourish, Evolve is an artistic campaign to buttress the work of CELDF and other organizations that are working to establish rights for ecosystems and human rights to water and to ban detrimental practices including fracking, factory farming, sewage sludging of farmland, and water privatization. The project combines Andrea's longstanding advocacy for environmental justice with her personal history being raised in Northeast Ohio on Lake Erie. As we mentioned, the flagship artwork of this project will be a neon sign, which we had hoped would be up by today, but it is not, but it will be soon. That is on the backside of the Great Lakes Science Center that takes the Lake Erie Bill of Rights and uses its language to create a very optimistic, buoyant-looking sign that will stay up through the summer of 2024. During winter of 2024, moCa will present Bowers' new drawings, neon, and film works in a special 2-floor exhibition at the museum. The film chronicles CELDF's efforts and examines the dangers facing Lake Erie, and Bowers' drawings springboard from CELDF's Lake Erie Bill of Rights, alongside other works that she's made, such as the Rights of Nature drawing on the left and Eco-Grief Extinction Series drawings on the right. These are large-scale drawings done on compressed cardboard that feature prominent feminist figures alongside now extinct animals. As Josh mentioned earlier today, moCa, CELDF, Great Lakes Science Center, and other partners will be creating a series of programs and events that invite audiences to share, learn about, and create actions and outcomes for Lake Erie's health and sustainability. Like Bowers and the others I have discussed, many contemporary artists engage the Great Lakes as subject in order to provoke reflection on its ineffable effects on our bodies, lives, relationships, and future. All demonstrate how art can contribute to and shape current dialogues on the critical problems confronting our region. Artists are critical not only to our awareness, but to our solution making. I hope that we will all continue to engage artists' voices and ideas in our approaches to change. Thank you.
On your way, no one know. On your way, no one know. No one know, no way. No one know, no way. On your way, no one know. On your way, no one know. No one know, no way. No one know, no way. No one know. No